Hey kids, this is Jurassic James, and on this Jurassic James Explains, we're looking at the Tyrannosaurus of Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. A lot going on here. I haven't done a Tyrannosaurus video as like the story of T-Rex, because I still have some non-Jurassic Park T-Rexes, but I want to go over this situation here. So first and foremost, Jurassic Park the novel comes out. There's a Tyrannosaurus in it. There's actually two Tyrannosaurs in it. There's the big one and the little one, right? So first of all, I want to point out what did not show up in the movie, but what did show up in the toy stores was a juvenile Tyrannosaur, which, as you know, if you're a paleo follower fan, this is very controversial. Are we finding juvenile Tyrannosaurs, or are we finding a new species? There's a whole debate in paleontology, and I'm not going to touch it. But I will point out that this guy or gal actually, was a juvenile Tyrannosaur made of rubbery skin, very stretchy, didn't have any, like the limbs moved here, and it's a really cool animal. It's very well balanced. And again, it was in a book, it was not in a movie, so I'm gonna give it its credit right there. But the main thing, the big toy, the big Christmas thing was Rexy herself. Now, the name Rexy is not the official name of this animal. Hasbro or Mattel or whoever, Kenner at this time, did not call it Rexy. It's just the Tyrannosaurus Rex of Jurassic Park. But the fan base for the last like 25 years have been calling her Rexy, so or 28 years actually, at the time of this video. So the big thing was, one, you squeeze the ribs, and it did the. You have no idea, kids, today, how in the movie the footprints are coming, you're hearing it boom, boom. Although it may not be scientifically accurate, that was such an interesting idea that this animal's coming, it's slow, it's building tension, and the toy actually did that. This is a big, big deal. So this is Rexy herself from Jurassic Park 1. She's the one that was roaring when the banner said, when dinosaurs of the earth fell after you killed your raptors. Spoiler alert, 28 years in the waiting. So, but the idea, here's the actual figure. Now, I'm going to focus mainly on Rexy herself, but I wanted to also give homage to Part 2. So in Jurassic Park 1, we have a T-Rex. It's a big T-Rex thing. Part 2, why not have two? So if you didn't know, there are actually two Jurassic Park islands. Isla Nublar is the one where the actual park is, where people, Dr. Grant and Dr. Statler, Dr. Malcolm were there. Part 2 is when Malcolm went back and they showed two Tyrannosauruses. Now, it wasn't as clear in the movie, but they were actually a male and female, and the male was the one that was like a little bit bigger, had scars on his face. For the toys, the big bull Tyrannosaurus like this, and obviously it's a huge figure, and the idea is that it was so big that World War II, you can actually put stuff in its mouth and it would eat it and swallow it whole. You can move it down here like that. So the claws are exceptionally long. That is not something that we think in Tyrannosaurus. They had decent claws. We have them, but this is for the toys, engineering, and modeling. I do like the fact that they have like the four toes, three in the front, a dew claw on the back. That's really kind of cool. The hands of Tyrannosaurus in the Jurassic Park franchise are incorrect. We now know all theropod or predatory dinosaurs. The arms are not like this. They are like that. So again, Tyrannosaurus have these two fingers like palm to palm. So that's the bull. Here is the female Tyrannosaurus called the Thrasher. Now, if you turn the tail, the head should thrash back and forth. Unfortunately, mine was broken by my oldest nephew when I was a kid. Yeah, but it came with this like. If you remember the movie Jurassic Park 2, Lost World, or Lost World Jurassic Park, they took one of the Tyrannosaurs to the mainland, and it had a Godzilla moment. Irony though is that there was a male they took to the mainland, not the female. But in the toys, the female has a little gear, and you would shake her head, she'd break out of it and everything. So and she kind of kept the overall look of Rexy, because the idea is that Rexy's a female too. So it was this one here. So the same kind of overall body plan, and the male will be more bulky and everything. Which in paleontology we now think is the reverse, that female Tyrannosaurs are bigger and males were not. As a side note, there are two Tyrannosaur body types. One is more slender or gracile. One's more robust. And the assumption was that the robust ones were male and the slender were female, as you see here. This is also determined by the femur. Take the femur of a Tyrannosaur, the thigh bone, the upper leg bone, and you measure that, and you can get an idea of the size of the animal. Anyway, so like in the movie, there was a baby T-Rex, and the idea was in the movie, spoiler alert, the leg broke, which is really cool. If you remember, also I have the trailer down here too. They work on it, and the adults show up. It came with a little cast, and you'll put it in this little peg, and the leg will stack together again, which is just really neat. That being said, in the Jurassic Park series, you have the big figures, or the these figure size, and then you have the humans came with little babies, right? So in part 1, you had the little baby T-Rex here, not in the movie. It was, it would be in the hatchery in the storyline. But in part 2, we had the same baby T-Rex with the little cast that's already made on it, like that. But again, this is what you're looking at here is the main guy. Of course, as you already know, I'm a sucker for repaints. So we have these two, the blue and the red. And the reason I bought these is because, one, I like repaints of anything. And then two, because in the novel, there was more than one baby T-Rex. And there was a whole part in the book. And I remember I had read the book and the movie, and it was like half 3. So those are the Jurassic Park Lost World Tyrannosaurus, is this group here, on Isla Sorna, the second island, right? So I'm going to put these two away for spacing because of reasons I can assure you it's needed. I'll put her down here, and him. I know you don't like being put down. I know. No one puts Bull Rex in the corner. So, yes, we're getting to you. So Jurassic Park 3 comes out, and in Jurassic Park 3, they actually have same island. It's Isla Sorna. It's the same as Part 2. We have no word on Nublar what's going on there. And they have this Tyrannosaurus here. Now, if you remember, Dr. Grant and the family are running from a Spinosaurus. They come across a dead animal, and the Tyrannosaurus is feeding on it. Then that guy goes forward, and the Spinosaurus fights it, and he murders it. Spoiler alert. That's not a topic I'm going to cover right now because of all the reasons. But in general, what I didn't like about the Jurassic Park 3 line was that where the other toys had the dino damage where the skin's removed, they actually have open wounds. And I get that the franchise is not as hot, and they're trying to make smaller, more convenient toys. I get all that, but just having an open wound of that size showing ribs is not cool. But maybe some kids liked it. I don't know. I'm more of a I don't know. But anyway, so this is pretty much the Jurassic Park 3 Tyrannosaurus. It's the biggest one they had actually that I knew of. There was a smaller green one I have over there too, but that's the main focus. Now at this point, we're focusing mainly on the focus of the whole talk tonight or today is the Rexy. So at this point, every figure you see here is all the Jurassic Park 1 T-Rex. So in Jurassic World, the reboot, sort of soft reboot, they go back to Nublar and rebuild the island, right? And it was interesting because they never told you on screen that the T-Rex in Jurassic World is the same T-Rex as Jurassic Park. They never said that it was the first original. That would have been really a cool thing to point out, in the movie, but they just didn't. So, but again, everyone in the fan base, underground culture, we know it's Rexy, So the first thing I did, and I was excited because I remember my childhood, and I remembered that I would go into Walmart or Kmart, any store, toy store, KB Toys, and there was just a line of Jurassic Park figures. It was the people and the cars and the little babies and and the big ones, small ones. So I was super excited as an adult with my own money to go and see these figures. And I remember being disappointed in that Hasbro took over the Jurassic World franchise toy wise, and I remember I love Transformers, so I'm thinking they're gonna have a lot of cool figures. And Rexy, most of the figures I didn't buy, but this is the first Rexy. Now, one thing to point out with this animal, obviously it hits, it's not wrong. It hits the main points. It has the little arms, the little puppy, it has the 3 toes in the front, Duke on the back. I did find it interesting because in the original Jurassic Park, what made it special marketing wise was they had JP and a number on the actual figure, and that was designed as a marketing thing where in the commercial they're like, if it's not JP, it's extinct, because in most franchises dinosaurs were just in the past, or they were in some weird off in Antarctica or in some island somewhere. But Jurassic Park's no, they're all dead, and we made new ones, and they're tagged in number like a zoo, period. So JP was this big symbol. It was really cool. And then for the Jurassic World, they did no number, but they put JW. And my name is James Washington, and I was like, that's kind of cool. I don't know why. It just is. But the first thing I want to point out is that this, if you look at it head on, you can see where the eyes are on the side of the head. And that is not good. I encourage you to go to a museum, when you go to a museum again and see a Tyrannosaurus Rex, get wherever the front of his face is and look at it head on. And what you'll see is that the eyes sit forward, the nose goes down, it can still see forward. It has what we call stereoscopic vision. So we see out of one eye, and the other eye helps us with death. If you have trouble with this or believe in this, cover your eye up and try to walk and turn corners. No, don't do that. That will be painful, and I don't want to be in charge of you doing that. But the idea is that you need your other eye to help judge death. And for a Tyrannosaurus, they have their nose going down, their eyes look forward like us, So this figure doesn't show that trait very well. And I remember like that's not cool. I do like the fact that the tail was deeper. You know, tails of these toys are usually very small because they have to fit into boxes and packaging. But I remember just not being like super excited about that and the way she overall looked, because I knew this was Rexy and she was this big, thing. So as companies do, they're selling them in waves. And I remember I was like, well, at least I have the Jurassic World T-Rex. I know she, I have her. But then, of course, that Christmas, they were like, we got you. And they came out with this one. Now, this one, if you hear, has all the stomping noise. It has a homage to the rubbery skin of the original, but it's like rubbery skin on the tail and on the neck and like nowhere else. It's kind of weird. But the feet are huge. I mean, yes, those are the phalanges, and this is the metatarsals, which is the heel of our foot, not the heel, the arch of our foot, metatarsals. So this part would not be there quite in life, but it's a toy engineering thing. But I remember like it would roar, and it. So the fun thing was it actually had the original roar. And if, of all the things, I would say that for the first one, I was really kind of weirded out. Like, why did they put that roar in this figure? Like, that was, I mean, I'm pretty sure in the manufacturing and the books and movies and everything and the comic books, they didn't think about it. But, like, the Tyrannosaurus roar became very, very, it's almost as iconic as the Godzilla roar, the original roar. That is something that you hear, you know that franchise. And they didn't put it in the original toy, but they did it in this one. So I was like, that's worth noting. And I don't know why I'm so short-sighted. I'm like, they're not going to make another Jurassic World. They made this one. We get it. Whatever. Same story. But then, yeah, I'm going to put you there. Again, these are all the same character, literally. Yeah, it doesn't stand very well. That's very upsetting, actually. That was really one of the biggest things for me when buying a dinosaur toy is knowing it can stand up. And I just you're like, so. Like, some of the toys, like the smaller figures that are more hard plastic, they'll be in shipping and they get overheated and the plastic warps. So whenever I'm in a store looking for a figure, and I'm that old school guy, I have to go to a store and look at the figure and like buy it. I'll compare how they stand and pick the best one, But this one is just what it is, and okay, we got it. We just, she's fine. So when Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom came out, I remember like getting excited because I was already so disappointed in the first Jurassic World line. Mattel came in and like, we'll do it differently. And I remember like, well, I don't want to get too excited because reasons. But then, so the first one that came out with this guy here, was this gal here. And for me, it was a big deal because one, look at her face. Look at her head. Look at her design. This is I love this one. She's a Queen of my collection. But this one looks like the Tyrannosaur. Like, it has the features of the movie. And I want to point out that in the world of T-Rexes, there's a certain look they have. But the Jurassic Park T-Rex is a very distinctive look. And this one copied that, and it roar. I mean, it doesn't roar, but it makes mouth opens. The scars you're seeing on their face inside are reminiscent of the raptor fight at the end of part 1. So that's why if you look at the actual CGI one, it has scars on the side where Clever Girl jumped on in, was attacking, So the feet are too big because obviously they're trying to balance the toy properly. And I'd rather have big feet. It's not scientifically accurate, but it's an engineering thing, so I appreciate that. Instead of big feet that don't work at all, not going to trash it too much, but it's just an idea. But the tail, of course, isn't as big as it should be, but it looks pretty, it's articulate. The base is there, it's really neat. And again, the hands are even though they're still the T-Rex classic, wrist going down, they're still kind of like what they're kind of hinting at, like, we know it's not right, but the animal's been established in its character as having that design. It's the same character, so we can't really change that much. So I was excited about that, and I don't have a clear understanding of history because just like they had this one come out first, it didn't roar, and then a roaring one, I didn't foresee them having this one come out next, which is the roaring variety. And again, it's slightly bigger. It also, for the original one, she had to like be like smashed down like that to roar. This one's a button. There is still hard plastic skin, but the difference is if you do it like this, very similar roar, but she also does all of this cool stuff here. That's kind of cool. And again, their scars aren't blood, but they still show that they've healed. I mean, again, I don't entirely love the idea of there being like open red wound scars just openly available on the animal. And again, this is like a personal preference. Some kids are like, yeah, blood, so I get it. But anyway, so I thought this, and of course they had these little figures, and where the original Jurassic Park baby figures had like the big eyes, tiny noses, Their features were very infantile or reduced. Like it just hatched out of the egg. The toy babies, or at least the ones that come with the figures, are like this, and they're just miniatures of the adults. There's no sense of. I thought there's an articulate jaw. That's kind of cool. If we can speak very well, it's articulate. It's a bad joke, sorry. But the idea is that there wasn't a sense of like it's a baby. I mean, yeah, the feet are bigger. That could be made a point. The head should be bigger if it's a baby. But anyway, so I was like, these two are here. They've improved upon what this happened. I was like, I'm good. And then the following holiday season sales market, whatever, I saw this one and I was like, well, what's all this then? And she has the skin. This is the same figure. Her wrists are beautiful. They're actually turning in. They just say, let's go full science this time. She has a similar brown shade, or at least in that lighting in the movie, as the original. The only thing is that her head, she turns like sideways, which is a very specific action. I don't know why. It didn't seem like a great thing to me. But I was like, what's one more T-Rex? It wouldn't break the bank. It won't in all my collection civilization. So I got it. And again, it's like like I mentioned before in previous videos, I'm not super excited about the dinosaurs that roar. Like I'm not super. I like this one's roar, obviously, but it's not like an end all be all. And sometimes I like to interact with figures and hold them and stuff, and don't have like all the noise. So I was like, that's pretty cool. Her tail is very, moving, very flexible. Movie, it's a real science word. So then I'm like, okay, I got 3 of them, nice paint color. Like we're good. She has a beautiful nose. The nose here, the eyes facing forward. I don't like the mouth always being open. That was kind of weird. But anyway, so with this being said, I was like, okay, I'm good. Yeah, I mean, it's not, great. But then next holiday, then they come out with this one. And this one looks like the movie. Like I wish, and again, do not disrespect the original Queen, but this one is how I wish the first figure looked. Like how it, And if you take the head, it can move its head like this, like that. Let's see, the button, the button's right here. The only complaint I have actually is that shake. Like it'll roar normal, but the shaking, yes. So the shaking is weird because it reminds me of in the behind the scenes when they made the original model of Rexy. The rubber skin was on it, and it was meant to be shot at night because in the book it took the attack on the cars took place at night. Well, the kid didn't, and of course Steven Spielberg, being who he was, thought, how about we make it rain while the attack happens? And Stan Winston is like, well, it's a giant robot machine that can actually hurt people. Maybe we shouldn't. And Spielberg's like, I think it's a good shot, and I'm Steven Spielberg, so do it. So they did it, and as it rained on the figure, I mean, it didn't really rain on the animal. It was meant not to, but it's a large machine, it's winds and stuff inside the set, and it absorbed a lot of the water in the skin. So the actual Tyrannosaurus animatronic would start shaking, and they had to like pat it down with tiles and everything, and it would start shaking. So there's points in which it was Stan Winston's team was trying to make it work, but there were points where it would turn a little bit in a way. And that scene where it's going through the roof of the kids and the glass breaks, the fear in the children's eyes is true because it did it in a way it wasn't supposed to, and it broke the glass. They were like really afraid because it was a giant robot head mouth coming at them. That wasn't just acting, that was acting, Anyway, so that shake reminds me of that. It's kind of a cool thing, but not really. I don't like it, but it reminds me of this cool situation. So anyway, so for me, I was super excited. Although the wrist went backwards, they're back to the original Tyrannosaurus broken wrist. But then, and finally then, I went to the store. Well, actually, I saw it on Instagram first. And I saw this one, and I'm like, well, why is it different? It's the same mold as this guy for the most part, but it has like these, again, skin scars. If you push a button, it turns red, so there's injuries. You put it back, it heals. Injuries, it heals. The mouth just opens by itself, the tongue's not articulate. So this guy is essentially the same mold as this, but a repaint, same color. So I remember when I bought this one, my wife's like another Tyrannosaurus in Jurassic World. Yeah, I clearly. But then I remember she was like, I was like mad, and she's like, why are you so angry? I said, because they keep just taking the same thing and altering it and repackaging it and selling it, slapping on a lunchbox and selling it. And I remember she was like, honey, you don't have to buy the figure. And I was like, but it's a new Jurassic Park T-Rex. It's like a weakness in my mind. There's a lack of logic. And she's like, yeah, but you don't have to buy it. Like you're not required to go to Target and buy the figure. And I was like, yeah, I know, but I like this Tyrannosaurus Rex, like the character, because in Jurassic World there are very few dinosaur characters. I mean, we all know and love Blue, and in my generation we all grew up with Clever Girl, the monster. But the idea was that Rexy was one of the only dinosaurs in this franchise that really kind of was a character we saw and was regular. I mean, so I remember when I was like, yeah, but I think I'm done. And the moment I said that, I think, I was like, I think I'm done buying these Tyrannosaurs. And I looked on Instagram, and there was like another one coming out in a few months, which is like armor for the head to pop off, reminiscent of Jurassic Park 2. And I was like, this is ridiculous. And she's like, honey, you do have to buy it. I'm like, I know, but I probably will. Anyway, so what's the big deal? Rexy, this Tyrannosaurus, is the star of Jurassic World, Park and World. And when the new one comes out next summer, Jurassic World Dominion, she'll most likely be in that one too. And we'll see the end of her story or whatever story is. So I'm pretty sure in 2022 they'll make more figures of Rexy, and I'll buy more of them. I'm still going to do a Tyrannosaurus Rex history talk, but I wanted to point out these different versions of the models. And again, if you like any one of these and you're buying it, go for it. It's your happiness. I just happen to want 10 of them, apparently. But yeah, although I don't like these two, but they're mine, and I'm going to take care of them. And but the idea is that you're seeing this kind of like an improvement over time. And it's one of those things where you want to, on one hand, when a new figure comes out, or when one comes out, period, you might want to wait a little bit for the other to come out because you're going to make an improvement on it. But then again, you don't want to risk and then not doing that because like the pandemic hit and they stopped making certain figures and delayed certain things. So I don't know. As a collector, do your thing. But for me, that's my situation with Rexy here. So these are all the faces of Rexy, or most of the faces. There's other figures coming out. But that being said, happy Saturday. Have a good day. Enjoy. Learn and love dinosaur toys and collect them, please. Because the more you buy them, the more they'll make, as you see here. Thank you, and see you later.